Hi guys, I'm Melissa from Rosevel and I'm here with the amazing Bruce from House of Slay, who has also recently just been introduced as our brand ambassador in Ireland for Limyville. Nice to have you here.
Thank you.
So tell me a bit about House of Slay. Introduce yourself to everyone.
Hey everybody, I'm Bruce with House of Slay Aesthetics here in Castleknock in Dublin. I have my aesthetics clinic for about a year now where I do dermal fillers, I do PRP hair therapy, I do skin boosters, I do mesotherapy, vampire facials, PDO threads, cogs, almost everything.
Everything, literally everything. So thank you so much for having me
Thank you so
today.
much for having me.
So I've just a few questions to ask you.
Sure,
We can jump all right in.
let's do it.
So tell me a bit about your journey in the aesthetics industry.
So before I got into aesthetics, I had a company for about 10 years, and it was affected really badly by COVID, and the economy and everything that was going on. So I decided in the beginning of 2022 that I needed to pivot into a new career. And I thought that the world of aesthetics was very exciting and it was a growing market. And I had actually had some aesthetic treatments done in 2021 when I was still going through all the stuff with COVID and my personal challenges. But having that one treatment really did like lift my spirit. It really did give me a boost, and it gave me it kind of refilled my energy. And so I felt like after that I was able to really tackle some of those challenges and overcome them. So when I was thinking about what business I wanted to get involved with, I reflected on that experience of my own of having some aesthetic treatments done, and I realized in that moment that I really wanted to be part of that. And so I wanted to help give those moments and those opportunities to other people. So it can be something as simple as like a lip augmentation or a skin booster or something, anything that kind of helps inspire somebody
Yeah.
to feel better about themselves, to regain their confidence and that energy back. That's what I'm all about.
I like that. So when you had your first treatment, were you like, wow, this is definitely something I could go into?
It changed everything. I mean, I went from having no business, no livelihood, no income, on the dole. I was in a really toxic personal relationship. I just felt like I just didn't feel like there was a whole lot of movement, and I didn't know how I was going to get myself out of this. And I know it sounds, maybe superficial or it sounds a little bit crazy, but just that one treatment that I had that really elevated my spirit out of that space of negativity and kind of hopelessness really did give me the fuel that I really needed.
I like
And
that.
so a year later, here I am. I have my clinic here in Castleknock. I'm working on opening a second clinic. I have over 100 five-star reviews on Fresha. I have a really great loyal group of clients that I love and that trust me, that keep coming back. And my marketing budget is virtually zero because so much of my business is through word of mouth, which is from my existing clients.
Which
So
we'll actually get into later on how you do it so well. So as they say, one door closes, another one opens.
absolutely, yeah.
Amazing. What motivated you to create an LGBTQ safe place in the eye aesthetics industry? And tell me a bit more, how did you introduce that?
I think it's really important that when people are dealing or looking to address particular issues about their appearance, that they feel like it's a safe space, that
Yeah.
they can come and they can talk to me,
100%.
and that there's a confidentiality between the client and myself, and that I'm going to give them the best advice possible for whatever their goals are that they want to achieve. And so creating a LGBT safe space was really important because I feel like for a majority of us, one of the greatest wounds that we've ever experienced is somehow being rejected for being our authentic self. And so for a lot of LGBT people growing up, we kind of hide who we really are. And so it's so important to have a space where people feel like they can come and truly be themselves and be authentic and talk about what it is that they want to achieve with their appearance, and put their trust in me to actually help them achieve that. And so creating a safe space where people can come and be themselves without fear of judgment, without fear of criticism, and know that whatever's discussed stays between them and me is super important. And I have applied that same principle with all of my clients, but I particularly want to communicate to the LGBT community that this is a safe space, that you can come and you can confide in me and you can share whatever your feelings are about yourself, and we'll work together to help accomplish some goals.
Yeah, and I can bet they probably all feel so much safer and comforted as well.
Well, I mean, you're dealing with some really private issues. You know, like if you're a trans person who is transitioning from female to male, for instance, and you have had top surgery, which means a double mastectomy to have both your breasts removed. Depending on where you get it done, you can sometimes have like fairly big scars in that area. What a lot of people don't know is that microneedling is something that's really safe and highly effective at reducing the appearance of scars. So having someone be able to come and maybe reveal a certain part of their body that maybe not a lot of people have seen, and feel safe and feel like they can be vulnerable in that moment and just say, this is what I've got going on, and I'm wondering, is there anything you can do to help? I think that that's the goal that we should all be striving towards in terms of aesthetics and creating a safe space where people can be themselves.
I 100% agree. That's amazing. Tell me 3 things you wish you knew before you started in this industry.
So I think it's really important that anytime you're going into business for yourself, for a lot of times people that get into aesthetics, this is their first time going into business for themselves. So it's really important to have a strategy. It's really important that you do your homework and that you know what your demographic is. If you're going for an older demographic, maybe 40 plus, then the way that you're going to market your treatments and your services that you offer is going to be different than if you're marketing to a younger demographic, let's say in their 20s to 30s. So have a strategy, do a business plan. I think a lot of people are very kind of intimidated by business, or they maybe think that, well, I'll find somebody else to do this. It's so important that when you get into aesthetics and when you get into business, to know to know the business, to take the time to learn a little bit about financial management, learn a little bit about digital marketing.
The boring stuff.
The boring stuff, but in the long run, it is the foundation of everything that you're building. So if you're looking to have a really great long career in aesthetics, then it's really important that you establish those building blocks and that you get those basics done really well, and then you have a platform to continue to grow. The second thing is this is a service business, right? So this business is all about customer service, and it is about creating an experience for your clients. So 3 things that I practice in my business are the 3 E's. So elevate, educate, and entertain. So when clients come in, I want to elevate them in some way. They're coming because they're seeking some sort of elevation, whether it's a physical elevation or maybe it's just a physical change that's going to change it's going to elevate them mentally or emotionally. And so we start with elevation. So we elevate and then we educate. So the other component is if you have any questions about your treatment, if you have questions about hyaluronic acid or what the difference is between a hyaluronic acid filler versus a hyaluronic acid skin booster, I have no problem and actively encourage my clients to ask those questions so that I can share that information with them. The more information that my clients have, the more secure they are about the treatment and what it is that we're doing here. And it just instills greater confidence going forward. And the third thing is, don't be afraid to think outside the box, right? There's so many things that we think of that we talk ourselves out of right away. It's our own inner saboteur, right? Like you come up with this idea and you go, that'll never work. Try it. Put it together, put a plan together, create some sort of strategy, and try to think outside the box, because just because you have an idea that nobody else is doing doesn't mean that it's a bad idea.
100%
It just means that you haven't tried that yet.
Yeah.
So if you have an idea, test it out, see what the response is, and then tweak it or move on and try something else later on. But don't be afraid to think outside the box.
So have you ever had an idea where you've been a wee bit like scared to do it, but then you jumped into it, did it, and it came out successful? Like, have you like, what was, how do I say this? How do I word this? Is there something like, I don't know, how do you like encourage people to then be different? Like when they're starting out in this industry, like to not follow, you know, yourself when you're starting out in the academies, you'll get, you know, a list of things. Do you then encourage people starting out to think a wee bit more differently or something, put out something there that people will be like, oh, like I haven't heard of this before, this, you know, even though in themselves they don't feel 100% confident doing it?
Right. I think what is so important, particularly now, is that people, whatever they're doing, right, whether it's aesthetics or otherwise, that people are authentic to their core, right? So what works for me on social media may not work for you, and it may not work for other people, because that's my version of being authentic. Whereas you can have your own version of being authentic, which communicates just as well and is just as successful. So I think a lot of people see social media and they see Instagram and they think, I have to be that. I have to create a lifestyle brand. I have to be flashy. You don't have to do those things. If that's who you are and you're comfortable in that, then pursue that. And that's definitely a strategy that's worth attempting. But if you are, if that's not your style, if that's not your thing, then follow what you're into and what you're passionate about. But if you're gonna be yourself, just be all of you. And that's the only advice that I can really give.
I love that. So what are your top 3 business tools or software you can't live without?
Well, a phone or an iPad is number one, because everything is done on a phone or an iPad these days. But in terms of tools, I'd say that Instagram is number one. You have to be able to, I mean, you can still do traditional marketing, which is print advertising or billboards or bus stops or mobile advertising or whatever. But a majority, I'd say 95% of my clients come from Instagram. So have an Instagram, understand how Instagram works, understand how the algorithm works. You know, do your posts, do your reels, do your stories. All of that helps give you a platform to launch yourself from, and it helps you tap into other markets or other demographics that maybe otherwise wouldn't necessarily have known about you. The second one is get a really good booking engine to help manage your appointments, handle your client records, your communication, your marketing. There's loads of them out there. A lot of them are really great. I use one in particular, but having a great booking engine will help save a lot of time down the road. The third tool that I use every single day is Canva. Canva is like aesthetic practitioners like best friend. You can create Instagram posts, you can create videos, you can do literally anything. You can create print advertising from it, whatever you want.
Which is, I think, is a good thing, because a lot of the girls that we've seen how starting out there are a wee bit like, oh my god, who is going to create my post? You know, I can't design, I can't create, I don't know how to work, you know, basic things. So I feel like Canva is so user friendly, even for someone who feels like, you know, they don't have the most spontaneous ideas, and Canva definitely makes it come alive.
Yeah, absolutely. There's literally hundreds of thousands of templates for any platform, for any phone, for any size, whatever. Canva has it.
So what about Instagram? Did you teach yourself, or did you have a course, or did you watch videos? Do you recommend watching videos, or kind of just, how did you figure out Instagram algorithm, etc.?
So Instagram, I mean, I had my business for about 8 or 9 years before I got into aesthetics. So social media and digital marketing wasn't something that was totally new to me.
Yeah.
But this was different in the sense that I was putting myself in front of the camera way more than ever before. And I was speaking directly to my audience. So definitely, I mean, I've been using Instagram for years, so I've been lucky enough to see it evolve from where it was to kind of where it is now. And there's a lot more tools that are way better for posting and for reaching your audience. But definitely go onto YouTube and watch Instagram tutorials and learn from people who are already successful at Instagram and figure out their technique and what tools they use and what approach and strategies they use, because some of those strategies may appeal to other people.
Yeah.
And that it may not be the answer, but it may be an inspiration for them, and that will help drive them to go do their additional research and come up with their own strategy that works specifically for them.
Yeah. So what is your business setup, for instance? How did you decide on your location, services you offer? How did you decide from, for example, from going from just lip augmentation to all of the services that you offer? How did you decide on that?
There's lots of them. So when I first decided to get into aesthetics, I didn't have a whole lot of time and I didn't have a whole lot of money. I wanted to, if I was going to do this, I wanted to try and do as much as I could in the shortest amount of time possible, which would help speed up the time to getting started and opening my own clinic. So I looked at aesthetic academies in Ireland and in the UK, and I just read the reviews and I reached out to other students that had gone to some of these academies and got their feedback, and from that I based my decision on where to go from that information. But I basically started with what was called a Pathways to Injectable course, which covered like a lot of the basics, anatomy and physiology level 4, anaphylaxis, first aid CPR, all the things that all the foundation course that you really need in order to look after your clients properly. And then from there, I thought, well, I'm already going to be there, so I might as well stay and take some advanced courses. So from that, I took advanced dermal fillers, and then I did skin boosters. So I did Profilo, Lumieyes, and I did fat dissolving injections. And that's kind of where I started. And I felt like those were enough services that I could come back and start the clinic, and I could start offering these services to, my own local clients here. And then I just grew from there. So I finished my course at the end of June of last year in 2022. By September, I was back taking more courses. I took phlebotomy, I took PRP hair therapy for the scalp and for the face. And then I went back in January and I did the PDO mono threads and lifting cogs. And then I went back for more skin booster training in April. So it's a continuation of everything that I started with, and everything that I've learned since then has just kind of added on to everything that I offer.
Your nice, beautiful collection. Do you feel like every day you continuously learning something new in this industry?
Absolutely. I think that this is an industry where you have to be open to learning.
Yeah.
You have to have the type of ego that knows that you don't know everything and that you can always learn from other people. So I love, meeting up with other practitioners and finding out what their experience has been like and what services they really love and what and where they've trained, and kind of tailor my own aesthetics journey based on that feedback, because I'll hear of something that I didn't know before and then I'll go back and research it and I'll think that that's really interesting, and then I'll want to pursue those courses and then offer those treatments. And so that's how it goes. I mean, aesthetics is a form of medicine, and like all forms of science, everything kind of grows and it develops as time goes on, and technologies get better and treatments get better and products get safer. The fact that vast majority of fillers are hyaluronic acid based is really important because it's a substance that our bodies create naturally anyway. It's dissolvable. Um, and so being open to learning is a huge benefit to anybody, because the way that things are today it's going to be different in a year. Guaranteed. There's going to be something new on the market, and in order to maintain a competitive advantage, you got to stay on top of your game. You have to be open to learning, to training, to reaching out, to working with other people, to hearing other people's approaches and other people's strategies, and finding what's best suited for you going forward.
Yeah. Social media, a necessary evil or a business booster? How do you handle it?
So I think social media is a sword that cuts both ways. I think it all depends on how we as practitioners, it all depends on what our intention is when it comes to using that platform. So you can be the type of person that has a really successful clinic, but you can be really spicy, towards other practitioners, and that may work for you. I personally approach social media from a much more positive perspective.
Yeah.
Over the years, and especially when you're in this business and you're in front of the camera, when you see the criticism from other people, when you see, feedback, as they call it, on your posts, it does kind of change your attitude on how you treat other people. So I've actually changed the way that I approach social media. So if I'm on social media, even just personally, if I'm scrolling and I see something that I think is really lame or not interesting or not funny or idiotic or whatever, I just do nothing. I don't comment, I don't respond.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's any benefit to spreading negativity or toxicity on social media. That's my personal feeling about it, with whatever I'm watching, so I'll just skip over it. But if I see something that I like, or I think that maybe it's someone else that works in the space, I'll give it a like, I'll comment, good for you, great. So it's all depends on how you intend to use it yourself. Because social media, as we've all seen, has a great ability to make great careers and, catapult people into a realm of awareness that, is almost unmatched by anything else, maybe other than TV, like national TV. But even that is limited, whereas social media can be global. You can go viral with something, go around the world, in only a few short hours. But I think it's just really important that you just maintain a positive attitude, that you are supportive for other people that operate in this space. And also, when it comes to developing social media content, keep it interesting, keep it fresh, keep it, not everything that I do is always focused on educating, right? Because the third E is entertaining, right? So let's just have a little bit of fun with it, I take this business very seriously, and I take the treatments very seriously, and my relationship with my clients very seriously. But at the end of the day, you have to be able to enjoy yourself, and you need to have a bit of crack anyway. And if you can't do that, then I don't know if you can truly connect with other people on a really great level, and that's always my objective.
I think that's so important, to have fun at the end of the
Absolutely,
day on social media. You don't want to, I know it's a serious industry, but you don't want to come across as too serious. Which I think you actually present so well on social media. You post the funniest content ever. The memes, I literally live for them. What about then criticism online? You know yourself, you can get 100 positive comments, but that one negative comment unfortunately can knock you down.
Sure.
How do you deal with that?
So the thing that I do is I just remind myself that this is one person's opinion and this is one person's perspective. And in a vast majority of cases, people who are overly critical are, they don't necessarily have all the information. They're going on an assumption, they're going on hearsay. So the thing is, you have to take everything with a grain of salt, right? Of course, when people come for you on social media, or if people are overly critical, or if it feels like people are being nasty, it feels like an attack,
Yeah.
because in a way it is. But I'm not going to get anywhere by engaging with these people and getting into a feud with them on my social media or their social media, because it's completely pointless and it benefits nobody. So, I just take it on the chin, and it may not be, the nicest feeling, but whatever that moment is, I know that it can't last forever, that it eventually will just move on. And I just hope that whoever's commenting or whoever's posting, maybe thinks twice about, being.
Yeah.
It's when things become very personal. If people want to
Yeah.
comment on my technique, or people want to comment on my approach or the level of service that I offer or whatever, those are all things that I'm super happy to hear about.
Yeah.
But when it becomes personal, if someone thinks that I'm ugly or I'm fat or I'm
Yeah.
too stupid or whatever, or the fact that I don't have a medical degree, whatever, any of those things, those are just people's opinions at the end of the day, and
Yeah.
everyone's entitled to their opinion. That doesn't mean that I need to take it on myself personally, and worry about it. So I try not to do that.
I
as
love
much as
that,
possible.
because obviously we know social media can be toxic. So it's nice to see that you can make it a positive thing out of it.
Yeah, of course.
I
It's
really
all
love
about
that.
how you interpret it. It's about how whether or not you decide to take on other people's opinions,
Yeah.
right? I work really hard for my clients, so their opinions are the most important to me. Everybody else, it's subjective.
Which social media platform would you recommend new business focus on the most, and why? So I can guess this one.
So I'm gonna say Instagram is
Yeah.
number one. Instagram is great because you can post the reels and you can post your stories, and then you also have your static, like just regular posts. And so I think that is a great place to start. I think the second most important is the up and coming platform, which is TikTok.
Yeah.
But TikTok is a great platform because it's all video content. So you can really use that platform to communicate education and training. You can show off new products and new techniques and new
Yeah.
approaches with your clients. But also there's so much stuff on TikTok that you can really have fun with it, and you can have your funny crazy dance videos or whatever, and it all just kind of seamlessly integrates and everyone seems to love it.
Yeah. What are some of the common misconceptions people have about the aesthetics industry?
I think the number one misconception that people have about the aesthetics industry in Ireland is that if someone is considering getting their lips done, I think that people are worried and they automatically assume that because they're having their lips done, that they're gonna walk in looking like themselves and they're gonna walk out looking like a Bratz doll, or they're gonna have some kind of caricature version of themselves. And the truth is that while that is possible, it's not necessarily always the outcome. We can perform these treatments. We can perform like a lip augmentation in a way that looks very natural and very subtle. You don't have to overfill or overstretch or overpull some part of the body that makes it look very exaggerated.
Yeah.
And very extreme. You can keep it very natural and keep their natural shape and everything else. All we're doing is literally just adding a little bit of volume at a time. So just because you come in for an aesthetics treatment does not mean that you're gonna leave looking
Like a duck?
any different, like a duck, or really any different
hear
than you
that a
already
lot.
do.
What appointment scheduling software do you use, and why?
So I looked at a few when I first started. I downloaded a lot of the trial versions. I kind of set up some, like added myself as a contact and tried the experience of going into the back and booking an appointment. And that's really the process that I would encourage anyone that's looking to get into this business to do. So download the software onto your phone, or download the app, set up a couple of appointments or a couple of treatments, and then try it yourself and see what that experience is like, because that's the experience your customers are going to have to go through in order to create that sale and to create that appointment. So if there's a lot of barriers, and if there's a lot of if there's a lot of things that have to happen with your booking platform, then you run the risk of people getting frustrated and then exiting. So I say less is more. So pick a really simple platform that's really good. I personally use Fresha. Fresha is a great platform. It has its own marketplace. So if you download the consumer version of the app, you can search, D15, or you can search Dublin City Centre. You can add hair or makeup or aesthetics or whatever, and it'll give you suggestions of businesses in that area that can perform those treatments. So even if you're not really sure where you want to go, you can still search for your treatment or whatever you're looking for, and they'll make recommendations. And so that's great because you may acquire customers that have never even heard of you.
Yeah.
The other thing is having a system which integrates your client records is also really important. So everything that I do is all done on an iPad. So I just get push notifications of new appointments. I can see my calendar for the week, for the day, for the month. I can see whether my clients have completed their medical questionnaire and consent forms.
Yeah.
So that's really important because that allows me to be able to see that information before they've even come to the clinic. So if I have questions about medication or any sort of medical treatment that they're undergoing at the moment, I can ask them that before they even come to the appointment, so that if we have to reschedule or if we have to move things around, it's far more convenient for the client that way.
Yes, it saves more time as well.
Saves time for me, saves time for them. It also shows them that you actually are paying attention, that you care about their ongoing health issues if they have some, and that you're advising them from a place of care and concern. And so when you approach it that way, people are a lot more accommodating, they're a lot more understanding.
Yeah. How important do you think continued education and training is in this industry?
I think that continued education and training is huge. It's just like any other kind of service that you offer. Like, barbers and hairdressers are constantly undergoing new training because there's new techniques, there's new technology, there's new products, new trends, whether it's color or it's cut or it's a fade, or like even where we are now, we wear our hair a lot differently than we did 10 years ago. Aesthetics is going to be very similar in the sense that what we're doing right now, it's going to be very different in 10 years. So staying competitive and maintaining your education and maintaining your training is really, really important. Even if it means just kind of going back. I've often thought about maybe this summer going back to the academy that I trained at and maybe just kind of revisiting some of the courses that I took, because I have more questions now, and having that face-to-face engagement with a tutor and a trainer, I think is super important. And so just staying on top of your game and staying on top of your education and your training only will help you be a better practitioner going forward. It'll make you more informed, and then therefore you can inform your clients better.
Yeah. How do you handle the business side of your practice? Any tips for someone starting out?
My advice to people about the business side is, if you are unsure, don't be afraid to seek out a mentor and ask for help. I've had people reach out to me over the last year and ask for help, whether it's help with digital marketing, whether it is help with a business strategy, whether it's help with supply chain management, web development, and you would be surprised just by asking how supportive other people can be in this area. So in terms of business, if this is something that maybe isn't necessarily your thing or something that you consider a strength of yours, definitely apply yourself, and don't be afraid to ask for help, because there's loads of people out there that just want to help kind of create more goodwill in this evolving industry as it is right now in Ireland. And I think you'd be surprised at how many people would be willing to help.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes they're a wee bit scared to maybe ask or embarrassed. So definitely, would you then encourage them to reach out and ask as many questions? Like, if you had someone reaching out asking you so many questions, would you be more than happy to help them?
Absolutely. I mean, I can't answer everyone's questions, and I can't help everybody who comes. But if if people came to me and they needed help with something, I would definitely do my best to help them.
Yeah. What are the most challenging and rewarding aspects of your job?
The most challenging component for me is doing the training and becoming confident in my ability.
Yeah.
This is a business that's not for everybody. And so I think that for me, there was some anxiety and some apprehension. But once I really applied myself to the training and at the academy, I found that I was starting to achieve really great results. And a lot of that comes down to confidence, right? So, be confident in your ability. And there's a difference between confidence and cockiness,
Yeah.
right? Cockiness is taking risks that, are kind of all over the shop. But, being confident, I think, is something that's totally different. And when you're confident in your ability, you can convey that to your clients, and then your clients feel that confidence, and then they trust you. The other component, like the most rewarding component of this business, are the results. When you have clients come in and they've asked you to perform a particular treatment, and then you do, and you give them that hand mirror, and they are just overwhelmed, they're excited, they're delighted with themselves. They're super grateful, super appreciative. Those are the moments that I live for. That's why I'm here. That's why I practice, aesthetics, is because it's all about the client, and it's all about their level of satisfaction and delivering the look that they're looking for. And so when you finish a treatment and people are really delighted and they want to hug you and whatever else, that's the best feeling ever.
I love that. It is really sometimes you might think it's such a small thing, but for someone to just even have that one treatment, it could be so changing.
Absolutely. It can change their life. It can change their
Confidence
whole
and
spirit,
everything.
their confidence, their
Yeah.
outlook, everything.
I love that. What advice would you give to those looking to make their business more LGBTQ friendly?
My advice to people who want to make their business more LGBTQ friendly would be to have an open mind and have an open heart. And because when you do that, two things happen. When your clients come in, they have to have the courage to speak and to share their experience. And you equally have to have the courage to listen. And sometimes, you may touch on subjects that are unusual, but you have to remember that this is part of their story, this is part of their identity, and this is who they are, and they're here looking for help, and they're here looking for solutions. And so by having an open mind and having an open heart, I think will go a really long way to promoting yourself as an LGBTQ friendly space.
Do you have a favorite product or treatment you'd love to use in your practice?
Do I? I love Lumifill. As I just broke my arm on the radiator.
I'm glad we don't have health and safety regulators in here. If so, why?
Okay, I'll do two things. I mean, I love dermal fillers because they're safer today than they've ever been before. They're hyaluronic acid based, they're cross-linked, which helps them in terms of the way that they sit and the way that they settle, and then their lasting power. So I love Lumifill. I love Lumifill Kiss especially for lips, cheeks, and nasos, because I think it delivers really great results. I think it is super hydrating, and I think that the Lumifill Kiss has a flexibility to it. When you're dealing with areas around the mouth, you want that to be flexible. You want that to look natural. If you're dealing with chin or jaws, or cheeks also, depending on what kind of look you're going for, you definitely want to go for like a Lumifill Max. That's going to set a little bit stiffer. These are areas that you don't want a whole lot of movement. What you really want is definition. So in terms of dermafillers, like Lumifill Max, Lumifill Kiss, Lumifill Light, those are all really great. And I think that they deliver great results, and that they really stand up against the higher end competitors. Other products that I really love are like Profilo as a skin booster. I think that Profilo is so important in terms of adding hydration and getting collagen and elastin production going in your skin. And just, it can make such a huge difference when you have a Profilo treatment, especially when you get the second Profilo treatment and then you're kind of set up for a really good like 6-month period where you'll really benefit from those results. So those would be my two. Dermal fillers, particularly Lumifil, and Profilo as a skin booster are phenomenal.
This is not a sponsored post. Right, let me get on to the next. Right, could you share a memorable experience or transformation story that has stuck with you?
At Christmas time, I ran a lip promotion, well, I did the 10 slays of Christmas, right?
Yes,
so there was
I did see
a
that.
deal a day
Yes.
for 10 days. And so that was really important in terms of strategy because I knew that after Christmas things were going to kind of be a little bit slower.
Yeah.
So I discounted my treatments in exchange for having a fuller calendar than some of my competitors. And what that really did that I hadn't considered is that it opened me to a whole new demographic of people. And I got to meet so many people that, were coming to me for the very first time. And so I had this one young lady who came in who had a really bad lip experience, and it was her first time ever having her lips done at another clinic. I think she told me that she was in a gymnasium, like a gym, and there were like folding walls, and they were getting their lips done behind the wall, and it was all sounds a bit dodgy, but anyway. She showed me a video on her phone that her friend had taken, and as she lifted her head, her face was completely covered in blood.
Oh my God.
And I could not understand for the life of me what technique this person was using to have so much blood on her face. But I just reassured her that, this was going to be different, and I went through my technique. And I performed her lip augmentation as she requested. And then when I handed her the mirror, she became very tearful, and she was very emotional because she was so happy with the results that she had, and yet the experience was so different than what she had originally had. It was so much better. And I think that if you go onto Fresha and you read my reviews, one of the things that is very consistent in my client reviews is how less painful it is to come to me than it is to go to other places. And I think that that's really down to my technique. So anyway, having that opportunity to meet with her, hear her story, hear how this was going to be her first time coming back for lips since that bad experience, which I think had been 2 years before that. And then to have someone, so emotional and so grateful and just want to embrace you and just say thank you so much for making that experience as good as it could possibly be, and to have them so happy with the results. I mean, it's why we do this, right?
Yeah.
It was amazing.
That's so nice. Can you talk me through a little bit the panic after Christmas? Because I know it gets quiet, and I feel a few people may freak out thinking like, oh my God, there's no one coming to me anymore. Any piece of advice would you give for that?
Right. I think that the number one piece of advice that I would give is to have, and this goes back to what I was saying earlier about having a business strategy. You need to have a sales strategy, right?
Yeah.
So for me personally, at the beginning of the year, January, February, March, and April are really great times to promote treatments that will take a little bit more time to develop, like fat dissolving injections.
Yeah.
That's not something that you're going to come in today and then tomorrow you're going to have, a ton of fat gone in a particular area. It is a process, and it takes time for those results to develop. Another one is like PDO threads, right? They're fantastic. The problem is that they sometimes take 6 to 8 weeks before clients fully see that treatment mature and develop properly. And so having that information in mind and strategizing your your sales strategy according to that, I think is really important, because people want to come in January, February, March, and April to have those treatments done, so that they can benefit from the results of them for May, June, July, and August and September. And so that's just one piece of advice that I would have, is to look at your calendar for the year. Do a social media calendar if you don't already do one. Break it down by week, break it down by day. What are you going to be posting today? Is it going to be lips? Is it going to be Profilo? Is it going to be a skin booster? Is it going to be a promotion? What is it? Organize yourself for the year, and that will help you achieve far greater sales success in the long term. So when it comes to January, when there is a dip in the market, because people have just spent a majority of their money in December, depending on how you approach it, you can still have sales lined up. You can still have appointments lined up. I don't know anybody who has like a phenomenal January, right? But I mean, there's ways that you can mitigate those losses and handle those challenges in a way that's productive and that will see you through until, February and March comes around.
Yeah, 100%. As an aesthetic practitioner, do you continue learning and staying up to date about new trends and techniques?
Absolutely. I mean, one thing that's really popular, like I said, is, dermal fillers, hyaluronic acid-based fillers. A new trend that's starting to come out are PLLA fillers, which are polylactic acid-based fillers. These are considered like bioactivators, so they're great for people who've like lost a lot of volume in their cheeks. So by injecting PLLA fillers, it helps stimulate the body's collagen and elastin production, and it is a different type of dermal filler, but again, it is a new technology that's out and that people are starting to embrace, and a lot of the academies are starting to get on board and offer training, and it's just another tool in your toolbox that helps you achieve results and deliver solutions to your clients, and that's really what it's all about. So staying on top of those things are so important, because PLA fillers are in now. There may be a new product in 6 months' time. It's just really important that you keep yourself open. Another thing that I would suggest is research trade shows, aesthetic shows. Go get your tickets, go to them, meet the salespeople, talk to them, get their sales material, read about these products. There's a great company in Italy that manufactures skin boosters using alkaline water from fresh water in Italy, that claim that those results are much better than other kind of more regular skin boosters that are manufactured in Korea or whatever. But again, it's all about just staying on top and being aware that these things are going on and that they're out there.
What is one treatment you believe has the biggest impact on your client's self-confidence? I love this question.
Well, definitely the number one treatment that I think has the most impact has just got to be dermal fillers. There is so much you can do with dermal fillers, and like I said, dermal fillers can go to helping smooth fine lines and wrinkles. They can be great for accentuating certain features like your cheeks, your chin, your jaw. Dermal fillers are really important when you're performing like a PDO cog treatment. So you're pulling the skin, but you may have like little dimps or divots, and so facial harmonization is really important, because filler helps you achieve that harmonization and create those really lovely lines that so many people are looking for. So I would definitely say number one has got to be dermal fillers. Second is got to be skin boosters, because the amount of hydration and benefits to the skin that people get from using skin boosters, whether it's Gelupro Classic or Gelupro Hydro Booster or Lumieyes or Profilo or whatever it is that you're using, those products are really great for ongoing like skin care and maintenance.
I feel like skin boosters don't get enough appreciation. Even before I started working in this industry, I really didn't know how much the skin can achieve with just a skin booster treatment.
I think that there's a lot of, particularly in Ireland, because aesthetics is still a fairly new and growing industry, right? I think that there's a lot of misunderstandings with people about what is the difference between a hyaluronic acid filler and a hyaluronic acid skin booster. So stay tuned, because we're going to bring all of that to you guys this year.
So how do you define beauty?
For me, beauty, I think this goes back to what I was saying about the importance of being yourself and being authentic to your core. I think that beauty is what you define it for yourself. I, for one, growing up as a gay kid who often struggled with his weight, I had a fairly long journey of self-love and self-acceptance. I often compared myself to other people.
Yeah.
I often had low self-esteem. I often had a lot of self-doubt, where I would have an idea and I would talk myself out of it because I just didn't think that I was good enough, or I was worthy enough, or I doubted myself. So I think beauty is a reflection of how you feel on the inside. And I think that it's so important that we as people really tap into that and really figure out who we are and what it is that we have to offer the world in terms of, what is our gift? What is it that we bring to the table? And then follow that and pursue those passions. And you and I are using this platform now, but you can have a platform, whether it's within your family or whether it's within your friend circle or your work circle or whatever. I think beauty is all about confidence, and it's all about how you feel. And if you are totally secure in yourself, and you have just a tremendous amount of self-love, there's really nothing that anyone can say or do to really knock that, because it comes from within, right? And so I think it helps give you a bit of, kind of invisible external armor when it comes to, dealing with criticisms and stuff. But I definitely think that beauty is what we make of it. It's what we believe. It's how we feel about ourselves. And that's what this business is all about. It's all about helping people be the version of themselves that they want to see and they want to connect with the most.
Oh. So if you were not a aesthetic practitioner, what would you be? Suppose you did have a business, obviously, before this.
I had a business before, but I think if I wasn't in aesthetics, I've always had a very sincere commitment to customer service. I've always done really well with face-to-face. And so I think, if aesthetics wasn't for me, I would still want to work in the area of hospitality, working with clients, working with customers. I think I would be a great hotelier.
I could definitely see that.
I could have like a little boutique hotel somewhere, maybe 20 rooms or something, but, really focus on service and focus on client satisfaction and really make that experience the best it can be for people. I feel like that's what I think that's what I've discovered I'm really good at, is developing and curating an experience, and being able to communicate that with my clients, and then just have them come and experience it. And listen, it doesn't always work for everybody, but I always try my best to make it work for as many people as I can, and to make that experience of coming here the very best it can be.
Yeah. Can you share one thing you wish clients understood better about the aesthetics industry?
One thing that I wish that clients understood about the aesthetics industry is that you can booking the appointment and showing up for the appointment and having the appointment done is really the easy part. It is the aftercare that is really, really important for clients to understand. I've talked about, fat dissolving. Fat dissolving is a great tool that we use to help shift stubborn fat that is resistant to diet and exercise. But there is a tremendous amount of aftercare that goes along with it in order to achieve optimal results. And that's what we're going for. We're going for optimal results. What can we do for this treatment that is going to make it the best for you as a client? So water consumption, being on a calorie-reduced diet, exercising even moderately, going for a walk for 30 minutes, in the evening or whatever. Following the guidelines when it comes to, the treatment. Massage is a really important one. The aftercare is really, really important, and it's really important that clients read their aftercare, understand the aftercare, and then have the courage to reach out to their practitioner and ask questions about the aftercare. If someone comes and they have a question after the treatment, I always encourage people to text me. I mean, if it's 11 o'clock at night, I'm probably in bed, so I'm not going to respond right in that moment, but I will get back to them in the morning. So I'd say that that's what it is. Aftercare is by far the most important for clients to understand. It's important for them to take it seriously. It's important for them to understand it, and then feel confident that they can ask questions based on that aftercare afterwards.
Yeah, and also he sees everyone's stories who's drinking who say they aren't.
Yeah.
How do you manage your work-life balance?
The way that I manage my work-life balance is I have clinic hours. So the clinic is open Tuesday to Saturday. I'm open in the evenings on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. If I'm just chilling, if I'm just kind of in my own space or whatever, I have no problem responding to messages and whatnot in the evening. But I do have a hard line, whereas if I'm out and if I'm at a birthday party or whatever, it's really important for me that I'm present and I'm there and I'm showing up for my friends or whoever it was that invited me, and not always glued to my phone. And so setting boundaries is obviously really important. So and on my days off, which are Sundays and Mondays, I think my clients will notice that I don't, my response, the speed of my response is slower, just because those are my 2 days to recharge. And I think the important thing that for people to remember is that at the end of the day, for me, I'm exhausted. Like, I will literally just sit at my desk and I'll take off my glasses. Sometimes I bury my face in my hands, because when it's a busy day in the clinic and you're just on, right? I'm giving all of my energy and all of my time and all of my focus to my clients. So at the end of the day, I don't need a glass of wine to go to bed. I can just fall into bed at the end of the day and just fall asleep, because I've given everything I have to my clients. And it's really important that on those 2 days that I have off, that I'm doing something that lifts my spirit, that helps me connect with my friends or my family, or whatever outside of work, that I have some sort of recreational outlet, and that I'm using that time to my advantage, so that I can do those things and I can have fun, and then I can come back on Tuesday morning and I'm ready for my clients, and I can again give them the very best that I have. My attention, my time, my focus, all of those things are really important, because they're showing up for me. The very least I can do is show up in mind, body, and spirit for them, and be attentive and listen to what they have to say.
If you could have dinner with anyone in the world, who would it be and why?
Oh my God, it's a bit of a cliche question, because I know that people ask it all the time, but I think the person that I would really love to have dinner with.
It can be dead or alive.
Okay, well, she's alive, thank God. But and I know you guys are gonna laugh, but it would have to be.
There's no judgment here.
It would have to be Judge Judy. And I say that because Judy
actually understand that one.
Judy Shineland has had such a crazy long career of dealing with people on a face-to-face basis and hearing and adjudicating so many difficult and challenging moments in people's lives. The amount that she has seen and experienced in her life, I just think that having an opportunity to sit down and have a glass of wine with her and have, dinner would just be life-changing for me, because I think she would have so much to say, and she would have so much insight into how families operate and how businesses operate, and all the things that she's seen in her, almost 40-year career she was a family court judge in Manhattan, and then she got Judge Judy, and now she is Judy Justice, and she's just seen so much stuff. I think what she would have to say would be so interesting. I think the stories would just be never ending, and yeah, I would just love to have dinner with her and hear, just her take on everything from where things were to how things are now and what she would want to change in the future.
I feel like if you asked her to tell her one specific story, she wouldn't even be able to.
No, I don't think she would have. I mean, she grew up in Brooklyn.
She'll whip out a list.
Yeah,
of
she'd have a whole list
memorable
of stuff.
stories.
Yeah, but I mean, like she was a judge, and then she had to learn show business.
Yeah.
And she started negotiating her own contracts and her own deals, and that not everybody can do that, And so for her to be able to pivot and put on so many different hats and to multitask in that way, as well as be a wife and a mother, to her kids and stuff. I think she's just phenomenal. I think she's a real testament to, if you didn't make it in your 20s, you can make it in your 30s. If you didn't make it in your 30s, you can make it in your 40s, and didn't make it in your 40s, you can make it in your 50s. People look at, some of the most successful people. If you look at Colonel Sanders, who started KFC, he started cooking chicken in his kitchen in his 70s and started selling it door to door, and that's one of the biggest restaurant chains in the world. So I mean, it's just about never giving up, always keeping going, staying motivated, staying focused, and always having a goal to achieve.
Second last, as a non-medic, what is a challenge that you face or you have faced?
I think as a non-medic, one of the biggest challenges that we face is that we don't have a medical degree.
Yeah.
And in the eyes of a lot of people, they see that as a reason that we should not be in this space. And I don't believe that at all. I think that in every business, I think that in every industry, there's always going to be people that take it really seriously and apply themselves and put the very best of themselves into that and want the best for their clients. And then there's always going to be people that, maybe don't take it as seriously, that are maybe in it for different reasons, for the wrong reasons. I think that it's up to the consumer that we do our homework and that we, particularly the reviews, read the reviews, ask questions, and my advice would be if you have an appointment with somebody, whether they're a medic or non-medic, if it doesn't feel right, then don't do it.
Okay.
No one's telling you have to do it, but I would say that as a non-medic, that's one of the biggest challenges that we have is overcoming that confidence in the industry that we're just as good, sometimes even better as doctors.
Yeah, because going back to the toxic, it can be a toxic environment.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get that. Lastly, as an expert in the field, what trends or developments do you see on the horizon for the aesthetics industry?
Well, here's the thing. I think that there's a lot of research and development that's going into skin boosters right now.
Yeah.
I think that skin boosters, I think that, Profilo is probably the favorite right now. In terms of like a 5-point kind of facial remodeling, but I also think that Jalupro Classic is also really good. But I think that we're going to see some really big developments in that space over the next 5 years. I think that this time in 5 years, there's going to be a lot more choice. I think there's going to be a lot more competition in the market. I also would love to see, skin boosters, particularly in the under eye area. I'd love to see those develop and get better, where clients get that longevity and that, that staying power from those results a lot longer than what they are right now. But I think that there's going to be really great stuff with hyaluronic acid fillers. I think there's going to be a lot of really great development with hyaluronic acid skin boosters. What I think is really important is that, just because you have a aesthetic treatment done, right, you just may want your lips. And that may be the only thing that you're interested in. And that is totally fine. You may not want to augment anything with filler, but you may really benefit or appreciate like skin boosters. It's totally up to each person individually and what their comfort level is and what they find beneficial to themselves. So I would say to clients, stick with that. But in terms of overall trends, I think that we're going to see some really exciting stuff with fillers and skin boosters in the future.
And I cannot wait for that.
Yeah.
So is there anything you'd like to share that we haven't touched upon?
The only thing that I would say in closing is that I think that from where I was to where I am now, I have completely, totally transformed my own life. By following aesthetics and by getting into the aesthetics industry, I think that I'm really loving what I'm doing right now. I feel like this is exactly where I should be in this moment in my life. I'm really enjoying it. And my advice to other people is that if this is something that you're interested in, I would say pursue it. Look at academies, look at training, look at what you're passionate about and start there. And just go for it, because I've had such a phenomenal year. I've had the best time. I've got to meet you. I'm the new Lumifil brand ambassador.
You have a new clinic?
Yeah, my new clinic is hopefully opening next month. So I mean, I'm delighted with everything that I've achieved, and I want just people to know that there's room in the market. If you think that you would be a great aesthetic injector, then I would say go for it. Pursue, your dreams and just make it happen, and be confident when you go out there and do it.
I love that. I think that's what probably some people need to hear coming from you. Just that wee bit of a boost. So yeah, thank you so much for
Thank you so much.
having this interview today. It's been so nice to meet you. Next time we'll probably have this in your new clinic.
Hopefully, yeah.
And exciting times ahead.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Level up your aesthetic game. Download our guide and dive deep. Click the link below to download it for free.